What's up, y'all? It's the Young Avell back at it with another video. Welcome to the sermon. I hope you guys have been doing great. Like I said, I'm back. I was visiting family, but today I have an interesting topic and I want to jump right in because I had a conversation with my barber the other day. He's actually one of my bros, not just my barber. And we were talking about body gain, the necessity for body gain, but it was an interesting take on it. And if you don't know what body gain is, it's basically when you can peep the difference in interactions between someone that is super fit and someone who is not. And when you start to leverage that in terms of your interactions with women, you see how it just be happening? In terms of your interactions with women, that's called body gain. So we were talking about body gain and how it relates to displaying willpower and masculinity. And the interesting take on it was that masculinity is basically willpower. There's no real difference when it comes to men. There's no real difference when it comes to being masculine and willpower. And when it comes to that willpower, there's a certain fire that has to be present inside of you. And this leans into the necessity of you to do difficult things voluntarily, because when you do that, it's like you're stoking that fire such that when you encounter difficult things, that flame is already there and you can blaze through any challenges that are in front of you. So now let's take it a step further. Metaphysically speaking, you have that flame in you, and in terms of body game, you're working out consistently, expanding that flame. And then what happens to your body starts to get more shredded. Your body starts to get more, it literally burns off that fat and all, you're trimming the fat. Your body, your metabolism is literally, because you got to understand your body is composed up of 5 elements. There's actually 5 elements because of the ether, right? The ether is a subtle element. It's the most subtle of the elements. And then from ether comes air, from air comes fire, from fire comes water, and from water comes earth. They get more dense as you go, and they're also, the 5 senses are more present. The 5 physical senses are more present in each of the elements as you go further down their solidity. Like, for example, air would have the sense of, the physical sense of touch. No other sense would be available or perceived with that element. But you go down to fire, you have touch and you also have sight because you can see it. Then you go down to water, you have the same original 2 senses, but you also have taste. Same thing for earth, but you have you have taste and form, in water. Same thing for earth, but you also have smell. And hearing is actually the one that's in the ether. That's the only element. So it goes 1 sense, 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense, and 5 senses. They all get accumulated into the material elements as it goes down. But anyway, we're talking about the fire. So the fire is present within your body, as are all the elements, but we're talking about willpower, and willpower is directly associated with that flame. That's why I remember one time I was watching this show, and I used to be a cop as well, and it was often said that in order to be a assertive cop and do those things where you have to stop people and enforce things, you have to have that fire in your belly. The reason they say fire in the belly is because your willpower is seated in your solar plexus. Your solar plexus is your 3rd chakra, and there is a literal fire aspect to it. So it's an interesting take on masculinity, on how masculinity is directly related to willpower, and willpower is directly related to that fire, that fire element, that flame inside of you. And you walk out into the dating marketplace now, if you don't have that flame present within you, you are basically invisible to women. you know, and that is just the nature of the dating marketplace nowadays. So it behooves you to work on building up that inner flame within you. And how do you build that up? By increasing your willpower, because the side effect of that is that your masculinity will increase. Now you have to ask yourself this question, because this was a logical route that my mind went to when we were having this conversation, my boy and I. Masculinity is directly related to willpower. Masculinity basically is willpower when it comes to men. Now it starts to make sense of why all these things in society directly target your willpower. They don't necessarily target your masculinity out front. They are targeting your willpower. And in that, they are indirectly lowering your masculinity. Next thing you know, we have a super feminized society. So you got to ask yourself, what are the ways that society is attacking your willpower? And, you know, PORN, you know, ORN, they're trying to get you that way. The food that you eat, super sexualized society, you know, bury you with like a 9 to 5, just keeping you working, tired, your nutrition. All these things make it so that the average man just wants to get a reprieve, just wants to get a relief of the material grind, and wants to feel some sort of pleasure. Next thing you know, they're diving down that rabbit hole because the material lifestyle is so grinding. Like they get addicted to this part, you know what I'm saying? And then you have guys that are ended up addicted to food, addicted to, you know, basically their willpower is weak. They're not able to make that transition, to bridge that gap of getting them back to the other side where their willpower is strong. And I was watching one of my older videos, and I had mentioned something that was pretty good, which it was, in my opinion, which is like, you may ask, how did I get myself to this point where now I'm addicted to PORN, or I'm addicted to this, to eating, or addicted to video games? The same way that got you here, you do the same thing in another direction. Like, you just kept on with a specific activity over time. Next thing you know, you have neural pathways that are wanting to be fired all the time because of said activity. It's the same thing. You have to engage in a certain activity for a long enough period of time for you to build neural pathways that your brain is like, okay, this is where we sit. We sit here majority of the time. Ideally, these neural pathways are pathways that have been strengthened through your willpower, because these pathways from that consistent activity, they require zero willpower. Easy to go down this route. Very easy to go down this route. So ideally, your willpower has strengthened these neural pathways. And that's why, like, when you see super fit guys, you see masculine men, you see dudes that are in the gym all the time, we have those type of pathways now where it's like, yo, I'm sitting over here majority of the time because I'm choosing to, because of those little micro stressors that we put ourselves through often, you know, at X amount of times a week. We put ourselves through little challenges that allow us to make our willpower get a little bit stronger, And in so, we're building that flame, we're building that fire up, subsequently in increasing our masculinity, making us more desirable to the women around us and to the men around us to be around. For example, I enjoy beautiful women, right? I enjoy women on a regular basis through God's grace. You know, I'm no better than anyone. I know it can all be taken away at any moment, so I'm super humble. So I'm just saying this as an example. If I indulge in pleasure, I have a thing in my brain where I need to offset that pleasure by doing something difficult voluntarily. So like, I might need to go to the gym right after I bust down some cheeks. You know what I'm saying? If I bust down cheeks in the daytime, I need to go to the gym or do something difficult, maybe do like a 15 or longer meditation to recoup that spiritual thing back in me. You know, I don't really want to sit quietly, but I know that's something that can help me to build my willpower. Basically what I'm saying is that I don't want my mind to get overly relaxed in the tendency to be like pleasure. Oh, I like pleasure. Because like I said, you get to a certain point as a masculine man, you have options and you can indulge and you can enjoy yourself and you can live a very pleasurable life. And I make sure to not get too wrapped up in that by offsetting that with putting myself through those micro stressors, like not right after, you know, just to offset my mind. The time is irrelevant. I'm just talking about like lifestyle wise, you know what I'm saying? Even if I'm tired, even if I was talking to my boy and, you know, I told him I had enjoyed with a lovely young lady that morning, and, you know, I was tired after, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm on my way to the gym right now for this specific reason, you know, just to get my mind like, yo, if you're gonna relax after something, relax after you put in some work, you know what I'm saying? And that's how I'm able to offset that and keep that flame burning inside of me, you know what I'm saying? Keep that power inside of me. And it's important that we do that as men. It's very important because I said this a million times and you hear it often. Society is weak. You know, society has gotten so weak over time, and it's important that you separate yourself from that. You know, you don't want to be weak. Nobody really wants to be weak. So this is the way, this is a way that you can get ahead of that. So build that fire up in you. That fire is directly related to your willpower, and that is basically what will increase your masculinity, because they are kind of one and the same when it comes to men. So that's all I really wanted to share with you guys today. A pretty dope, insightful sermon for you guys today. We are at the latter phase of the first quarter of the year. You know, like I said in the last video, the year begins in spring and we are about 3 weeks to summer. So the first quarter of the year is wrapping up. So do a little recap of the change of what has happened so far, the direction that you're going, because summer, the energy is only going to get higher. We got the full moon literally falling on the solstice, so it's just going to get higher. So let's ride this wave, man. Let's ride this wave. Let's lead this wave. So if you got anything from this video, be sure to share, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you guys greatly. New music, Float, Nobody's Hero. Check that out. Run that up. Cop some merch. The link is in the description. And like I always say, guys, until next time, remember, a greader perspective and lead to a greater connection. Nobody's hero, although I'll give it till I got enough.